Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. The day my life stopped idling and roared into motion started like any other. A sunburned Chevy on Lift 2, classic rock on the radio, and the clean hiss of compressed air. Clock says 4:30. Jack. Mike Torres called for behind counter. You gonna let that Impala hold you hostage again? I'll have it purring before dinner, I said, though my head wasn't under any hood. It was replaying my daughter's voice from last night at the kitchen table. Evan says the best stories start with a choice, not a beginning. She'd said his first name, Evan, as if he were a friend, not a teacher at Maple Ridge High. Ava's 15, sharp, the kind of kid who reads stage directions out loud because silence feels dishonest. My wife, Lauren, had laughed then, brittle and careful. She'd started wearing a new perfume lately, warm, expensive, and keeping her phone face down. I knew every rattle my truck had ever made. I could feel a new one in my house. At home that evening, I played the role of a man reading the sports page while Lauren stirred a pot on the stove. Ava floated in with a backpack and a grin. Evan gave us a choice board today. I picked moral courage. He says, Mr. Cross. Lauren corrected, too quickly. Right, Mr. Cross. Ava said, winking at me as if adults and titles were just props in the play. How was your day? I asked Lauren. Meetings. Budget nonsense. She set a wooden spoon down like a gavel. Mr. Cross might need help with the fall showcase. Volunteers. I felt the line tug, the slight pull a fisherman feels when the hook finds something real. I can help, I said. I'm good with sets. She didn't meet my eyes. Maybe, she murmured, and checked her phone. A flicker of light on the screen. A name, Evan, vanished beneath her thumb. That night, while Lauren slept on her side of the bed, I lay awake counting the clicks of the ceiling fan. Mechanics don't hate silence. We listen to it. Somewhere in it, I heard an answer I didn't want. 3 days later, the answer walked to me. Lauren rushed out early, late for a planning meeting, and left her phone charging beside the toaster. I pretended I didn't see it until the screen lit like a signal flare. Evan Cross. Last night was worth every second. You light up a room you don't even know you've entered. Coffee splashed across the counter. The mug shattered. The sound was small. The feeling was not. I cleaned up slowly, too carefully because if my hands kept moving, I wouldn't have to accept that the old world was gone. Then I got in my truck and drove to the hardware store. I didn't know exactly what I needed yet. Only that when engines cough, you don't pray. You test, you trace, you fix. By dusk, there was a motion-activated trail cam inside a dented red toolbox on a shelf in my garage, its angle tilted toward the driveway. A slim digital recorder, the kind reporters use, slid under the driver's seat of Lauren's Corolla with a magnet. None of it felt like snooping. It felt like tightening bolts other people had left loose. I didn't confront her at dinner. I asked about the grocery list. I cracked a joke about Mike's foam finger collection. I kissed my daughter on the head. And then, when the house went quiet, I went down to the basement and wrote 3 sentences on a grease-stained notepad. Find the pattern. Gather proof. Choose the moment. Engines are honest. People aren't. So I'd force honesty into the room and let it do what it always does. Shift the whole balance of power. Patterns hide in routines. Lauren's new routine used to be ours. Late arrivals, last-minute texts, a lingering scent in the hallway. She began staying late Tuesdays and Thursdays. Her laughter came home with a brightness that didn't belong to me. A week later, after one of those late nights, I retrieved the recorder. Most of it was hum, highway, and the faint rattle of a loose coin. Then at 8:17 p.m., a car door closed and voices filled my old stereo speakers. Lauren's whisper, "Are you sure this is okay?" A man's voice, confident, unbothered. "No one comes here after 6. Evan," she said, softer than I'd ever heard her say my name. "I hate lying to Jack. He won't know." Evan said, "He fixes cars. He's not running surveillance." I pressed pause. That wasn't an insult. It was a misdiagnosis. The worst kind. I rewound, listened twice more, took notes. The recorder didn't tremble in my hands anymore. The next day, I volunteered to help at the fall showcase prep. The English hallway smelled like old books and floor polish, the twin aromatics of every American high school. I carried plywood flats to the auditorium stage, drilled braces, and watched. Evan Cross had the kind of neat beard that looks like an apology for being handsome. Teachers admired him. Mothers laughed too loudly at his jokes. He called students by their last names like he was drafting a team. Daniels, great instinct. Shaw, that line lands. Rourke, Ava, your eyes do half the acting. He saw me and smiled. You must be Ava's dad. Jack. Right on the first try, I said, letting my voice be friendly because friendly disarms more reliably than anger ever could. Set sturdy enough to hold a truth or two. He laughed. I'll take sturdy. From the back of the auditorium, Ms. Karen Mitchell, the principal, watched the scene with a clipboard tucked like a shield under her arm. I made sure she noticed me working, measured, reliable. I also made sure she noticed Evan and Lauren, their conversations just a step too close, a beat too long. Gossip in a school moves faster than a rumor about free pizza. An older math teacher, Mrs. Brenner, handed me a box of markers and said, as casually as a tossed scarf, Mr. Cross is a charmer. His ex-wife still lives in town, you know. Rachel, community center down on Oak. Is that right? I said, committing Rachel to the same notepad where I logged torque specs. That evening, I found the community center by habit, not GPS. The woman at the front desk had kind eyes and a name tag that read Rachel. Life had been gentle on her and hard in equal measure. I'm Jack, I said, awkward in a way I hadn't felt since high school. I think you were married to a man who teaches at Maple Ridge High. Her smile went stiff, then careful. You're not the first person to open with that sentence. Probably not the last either, I said. I'm not here to be cruel. I'm here because I need the truth more than my pride. She studied me for a long moment, then nodded toward a small office. 5 minutes. No guarantees. The office was cramped, the walls hung with flyers about after-school programs and yoga for seniors. She sat, folded her hands, and waited. My wife works at the school, I said. My daughter has Mr. Cross for English. Yesterday, I heard my wife say his first name. Last week, he sent her a message that didn't belong in a marriage. Rachel looked away, her jaw tight. He collects admiration like some men collect vinyl. He's good at righteous words. He's worse at promises. Did he do this before? I asked. She nodded once. He has a pattern. Make them feel chosen, smarter than their husbands, then swear it's harmless until it isn't. He left me for a woman who used to stop by our table at the teacher appreciation banquet and say she loved the way he loved books. I let the quiet sit. Patterns matter. So do witnesses. I need proof, I said. Not to hurt him for sport, to protect my daughter, and to make sure I don't lose her to a story I didn't write. Rachel hesitated, then opened a desk drawer and pulled out a thin folder. I copied some things before I walked away. Not because I wanted revenge, because someday someone like you would show up with the same question in his eyes. Pages slid into my hands. Emails that weren't mine to read. A tone that felt familiar and rehearsed. The dates painted a picture, the kind that even a defense attorney would accuse of being too neat. Thank you, I said, and meant it. Do it clean, Mr. Rourke, she said at the door. No screaming, no threats. Men like Evan only understand two things, policy and daylight. Daylight I can do, I said. Policy I can learn. On my way home, the trail can ping my phone. A still image illuminated the dash. 2 shadows in a driveway I paid for, stepping close, heads bent, a silhouette of a goodbye that wasn't temporary. I pulled over and breathed. Then I kept driving. Gathering proof isn't the same as letting it own you. The choice, the moment, was coming. I invited Evan to meet me the way men in small towns invite each other to talk. Neutral, polite, impossible to refuse. Ava's future, I said. Scholarships, recommendations. Saturday at the old Riverside Playhouse. It's quiet. No interruptions. He texted back within a minute. Of course. Happy to help. The Playhouse had been shuttered for 2 years while the city argued about grants. I had keys because I'd rebuilt their light board once for free and nobody ever collected the spares. I set 2 chairs center stage under an old ghost light, its weak bulb making an honest circle that sent every shadow into retreat. My phone, on a clamp near a catwalk, was already in a private video call with Ms. Mitchell and the district HR director. Rachel had agreed to dial in from her office, audio only. Daylight, but with decorum. Evan arrived on time in a tailored jacket that wanted to be casual. "Jack," he called softly, as if the empty seats might tattle. I gestured to the chairs. "Thanks for coming." He sat, crossed his legs, and smiled the smile of a man who thinks he teaches moral courage for a living. "Let's talk about Ava." "She's good," I said. "She's better than good. You already know that." I let the praise hang as bait, and then cut the line. "We're not here to talk about her." His smile faltered. "I don't follow." "You do," I said gently. "I want to talk about my wife." He stood, half a pivot toward the aisle. "This is inappropriate." So he's sending my wife messages that read like cover blurbs. I said, keeping my voice calm. "Sit down." To his credit, or his foolishness, he did. "You're angry," he said. "I understand. You understand scale, not consequence," I said. "Here are the facts. On Tuesday, you met her behind the storage cottages by the soccer field at 8:20 p.m. She worries about lying. You told her not to. On Thursday, you walked with her down the English hallway after rehearsal, unusually close for two people who are only colleagues. At least 3 staff members saw you. I have not asked any student what they saw, and I won't. I'm following the rules you sign every August and treat like decoration." His throat worked, a dry swallow. "You don't have evidence." I clicked play on my phone. His voice filled the little theater he liked to call a temple for truth. "He won't know. He fixes cars. He's not running surveillance." I paused it. He stared at the ghost light like it might blink and rescue him. "Okay," he said slowly. "Let's be civilized. I care about Lauren. I never meant." "You meant it," I said. "You chose it. I'm not a priest, Mr. Cross. I'm a father, and I'm a man who reads manuals. The employee handbook says what you did violates policy, even if no student is involved. It also says reporting is mandatory if a situation compromises a student's learning environment. That student is my daughter." He shot a glance at the dark seats, as if the economy of consequences might be counted on a ticket stub. "What do you want?" "Daylight," I said. "You're going to send Ms. Mitchell an email right now, on your school account, acknowledging an inappropriate personal relationship with a parent and requesting an immediate leave of absence, pending HR review. You'll CC the HR director. Don't embellish. Don't editorialize. When you're done, you'll forward the same message to my wife, and then you'll never contact her again." He laughed, a sound with no humor at all. "You think I'll write my own confession?" I angled my phone slightly, so the mic caught my words plainly. "You already did," I said, and let the silence do its work. He bristled, then deflated. I watched Pride bargain with fear and lose. Slowly, rigidly, he typed. When the whoosh confirmed the send, I exhaled for the first time that day. "Is that it?" he asked. "No," I said. "You're also going to write a brief note to Ava. 3 sentences. I mishandled boundaries. It is not your fault. Your grade reflects your work, not my failures. You will not sign it, Evan. You will sign it, Mr. Cross." He stared. "You can't make me." "I already did," I said softly. His face flushed. "I could say you coerced me." "I could. File a complaint," I said. "Tell them the mechanic bullied you?" "The call you didn't know was on will show. I never threatened you. I asked you to follow policy in the most polite tone I could manage." He stood slowly. "You ruined my career." "You did," I said. I just pulled the curtain. He walked up the aisle without looking back. The door thunked like the last line of a scene that won't be reprised. I ended the call. Ms. Mitchell's voice came through first. "Mr. Rourke," she said, clipped, unsentimental. "We'll follow procedure. Thank you for not involving students. Make sure my daughter isn't punished for my decisions or his," I said. "She won't be," she said. "She never should be." Rachel's voice followed, low and steady. "Daylight," she said. "You did it clean." "Policy helped," I said. "Payne taught you to look for it," she said, and hung up. I sat alone under the ghost light for a while. Sturdy chairs. Honest light. No applause. Good theater. Lauren was chopping scallions when I told her where I'd been. The knife stopped midair. The pieces rolled like green coins across the cutting board. "Why?" she whispered. "Not how dare you. Not you're wrong. Just why?" "Because Ava deserves a house without a secret in it," I said. "Because I can't be your alibi and your husband at the same time. Because I love you enough not to let you turn this into a story where I'm cruel and you're cornered." "You were not cornered. You sprinted." She sat, suddenly smaller. "I didn't plan it, Jack. Nothing accidental lasts 6 weeks, I said, and placed a manila envelope on the table between us. I'm filing on Monday. Fault-based. Under state law that changes decisions about support and property. I want primary custody. You can see Ava every other weekend, and one dinner during the week if she wants it. Tears came. They didn't move me like they used to. Grief and guilt look twins until you learn their faces. You take her from me. I will not take her from you, I said. You set things in motion that hurt her. I will be the place she can land. Ava got home early. Quiet footsteps like a cue she hadn't agreed to take. She saw the envelope, saw my face, and sat opposite me. Is it about him? She asked. Yes, I said. Lauren reached for her. Ava. Mom, Ava said, voice steady. You promised me last month when I asked you why Mr. Cross smiled at you like that. You promised there was nothing to worry about. Lauren flinched. I know. You taught me the difference between a mistake and a choice. Ava said, not quite looking at either of us. I remember. We told her together. It wasn't tidy. It was honest. She cried and didn't let either of us touch her. When she finally spoke, she asked the one question that could still break me. Why didn't you love us enough to stop? Lauren's sobbing turned small and real then. She didn't have an answer. Some doors only open from the other side of a season you can't skip. 2 days later, the counterattack began. A curt email from a district address told me I was being named in a complaint, harassment, intimidation, retaliation. The author was not Evan. It was his union rep. The language was surgical. I didn't rage. I made a pot of coffee and called a lawyer. Then I drove to the district office and asked to file a response with exhibits. I numbered them the way I number bolts. B, C. The recording, redacted to protect any reference to students, sat on a thumb drive. The email he'd sent confessing an inappropriate relationship with a parent led the stack. Policy citations followed, highlighted. The HR director looked at the neat pile like it might hiss. Mr. Rourke, she said, you did us a favor by not making a spectacle. I prefer good records to good speeches, I said. The complaint died in committee. Evan resigned within the week to pursue opportunities outside education. That line would have worked if the internet hadn't been invented. It has, so it didn't. Lauren tried one more maneuver that stung more than it should have. She showed up with a new bank account and a claim on our savings. My attorney sent the kind of letter that closes attempts without broadcasting them. The judge noticed who had brought daylight and who had brought excuses. Custody was awarded the way gravity awards falling objects, predictably. I expected anger to carry me through. It didn't. What carried me was the click of rituals with Ava. Sunday pancakes, Wednesday evening walks past the ball fields, 2 people learning the same song on the same patients. Do you hate her? Ava asked one night, out of nowhere. No, I said, which surprised both of us. I hate the way she talked herself into believing a small, flattering story. We all do that sometimes. My job now is to make our story bigger than theirs. Ava nodded like a judge who knows a fair sentence when she hears one. I'm writing a monologue, she said. It ends with a light coming on. Ghost light? I asked. Yeah, she said, smiling. That one. 3 months later, the shop on Grant Street that used to be Rico's Radiators became Rourke and Daughters. The ampersand was aspirational. Ava didn't want to be a mechanic. But she painted the sign anyway, letters steady and proud. On opening day, the mayor cut a ribbon that did not need cutting. Customers wandered through with coffee and curiosity. Ms. Mitchell stopped by with a gift card to the bookstore and a sentence I treasured. Ava's work stands on its own. Lauren came late, hands clenched in a white-knuckle attempt at grace. She looked thinner, older. Choices leave marks. She stood beneath the new sign for a long time before walking toward me like every step cost something. I heard about the judgment, she said. Fair. It wasn't a fight, I said. It was paperwork. I'm sorry, she said. And for the first time I believe she meant the apology more than she needed the outcome. Can I sit with you sometime and watch Ava change your oil? She doesn't change my oil, I said. She tells me my playlist is ancient and then steals my fries. Lauren smiled, tired and real. That sounds right. We sat on a curb and ate in the kind of silence that isn't empty. It's respectful. We did not relitigate anything. I told her about the scholarship Ava was on track to earn. She told me she was looking for a job at a nonprofit where nobody cared if your perfume entered a room before you did. I don't expect you to forgive me, she said finally. I might, I said, and meant it. But forgiveness isn't a time machine. It's a boundary. I'll do that work if you will. She nodded. I will. Ava found us and rolled her eyes. You two look like a PSA. An accurate one, I said. That night, after we closed, I drove out to the old playhouse with a replacement bulb for the ghost light. The city had finally approved the grants. Demolition had been avoided by a chorus of signatures. The door was unlocked, the stage dusty, the light dim. I unscrewed the tired bulb and twisted in the new one. It flared, hummed, settled into a steady glow that made the empty seats look less like absence and more like anticipation. My phone buzzed. A message from a number I didn't recognize. This is Evan. I'm leaving town. For what it's worth, I deleted it. Not from pettiness. From discipline. On the back wall, a poster for a production that never opened curled at the corners. I walked downstage and stood in the same circle where I'd asked a man to do the bare minimum decent thing. My life had turned on that circle. The proof gathered without spectacle. The emails sent without curses. The daylight refused to leave. When I got home, Ava was at the kitchen table with a notebook and the focused frown that means a story is finally behaving. Listen to this, she said, not waiting for permission. The protagonist thinks revenge is a door you slam. Turns out it's a window you open and never close again. That's good, I said, throat tight. I stole the metaphor from your sign, she said, grinning. Windows and bays and all that. We laughed. Then she kept reading, and I let the words wash over a house that didn't creak under the weight of anything secret. Before bed, I wrote 3 more sentences on a new notepad. Clean, ungreased paper this time. Tell the truth early. If someone mistakes kindness for weakness, let the daylight correct them. Live so your daughter doesn't need to carry your silence. In the morning, I unlocked the shop and turned the sign to open. The first customer of the day was a kid with a rattling Civic and a bigger problem in his eyes. I pointed him to a stool, poured him coffee, and asked, "What do you want to understand?" He told me about a noise on cold starts. We fixed that first. The other things, about trust, about boundaries, about daylight, would take longer. Engines teach patience. So do daughters. The revenge I promised myself never ended up looking like vengeance. It looked like a series of stubborn, boring, necessary choices that built a life no one could call fragile again. The man who had counted ceiling fan clicks now counted blessings disguised as jobs. A rebuilt alternator, a co-parenting calendar that worked, a teenager smile, and a house without a pause button. I'm still a mechanic. I still carry the smell of oil on my sleeves. But I'm something else too. Someone who learned that the most dangerous stories are the ones we tell ourselves to excuse our appetites. And the bravest thing you can do is refuse to be written into somebody else's chapter as the easy mark. The ghost light in us isn't there to be poetic. It's policy. It's daylight. It's what keeps the stage safe until morning. And morning, I've learned, always comes on time when you refuse to turn the light off.